So here is VERU. This finishes at $14.30 today. That is up 42.86%. Please like the video, please subscribe, and catch me every weekday after market close on the Smarter Gambling Show. So here is ATER Aterian. This finishes at $5.65 today. That is up 13%. So we've been talking about this stock for the past few days. Definitely short squeezing. It looked like the squeeze was winding down, but nope. It's still squeezing. So this was number 1 on StockTwits today. Had over 13,000 mentions. So once again, we're going to analyze it. So really no company-specific news to justify this price action today. It just seems like this is very retail-driven. Highly mentioned stock on social media right now. Apes have been squeezing it for a couple of weeks now, and it's still squeezing. So apes really like this stock.
We like the stock.
Up 13% today. Very nice. So let's go ahead and analyze here. So first of all, this appears to be a cup and handle in the making. Bottom of the cup being the low of 210. And there can be multiple possible tops. It can be 680, which it hit today. And if it is 680, that would currently be a bearish indicator, because that would mean the cup already topped out and is due for a pullback to form the handle. But it can also be above 680, and anything above 680 would be a bullish indicator, because that would mean the cup is not completed yet. So it can also be 830, 995, 1190, 1420, 1705, or even 1905. Although I do think the most realistic tops would be 680 or 830. So the cup and handle can be bullish or bearish depending on where the top is, but it seems like in the short term it's more of a bearish indicator, and in the longer term it's a bullish indicator. And then we do have a gap down here at 850, so that is a bullish indicator. That is telling us that the stock should come back up to 850 to fill this gap. It may take a while, but eventually it should. And then we do have a gap up at 390. Very small gap, but it is there. So that is a bearish indicator. That is telling us that the stock should come back down to 390 eventually to fill this gap. And in the aftermarket here, this is pulling back down to 545. So if this holds, that is a bearish indicator for tomorrow. That is suggesting that tomorrow the stock will sell off. And if you guys want to follow along, the link to the chart is in the description down below. So right now this is sitting on the support of 565, which it finished at today. So if this goes to the upside, next levels of resistance would be 610, 640, 680, 745, $8, $8.35, $8.65, $9.10, $9.55, $9.95, and then $10.45. There is resistance above $10.45, but we're not going to discuss that right now. And if this goes to the downside, next levels of support would be 510, 640, 410, 355, 305, 255, 210, and then 140. So right now at this current price, 565, the channels to the upside and the downside are pretty decently sized, so expect a regular amount of price action either way this goes. However, if/when this breaks 680 to the upside, which it hit today, the channels start to open up and get pretty wide, so expect a significant increase in price action if/when this breaks 680. RSI is currently at 74, so that is in overbought and overvalued territory, so be careful guys. And this did 160 million in volume today, way above the average of 7.5 million. Second biggest volume day of the year. So this pump/squeeze today was confirmed by the volume, and it does appear like the stock is still short squeezing. Not over just yet. Okay guys, just my opinion, not financial advice. So long term, this looks like a good stock to buy and hold. Got some pretty strong bullish indicators in the cup and handle and gap down. In the short term, this still appears to be short squeezing, so this does appear like there is still more upside potential, but I do think the squeeze will come to an end pretty soon. We are getting some pretty bearish indicators in the short term. In the cup and handle, high RSI, high volume, aftermarket action, and gap up. So therefore, if you want to go long, not financial advice. Personally, I would not do that. I think it's way too late. This has been squeezing all the way from 210 for the past few weeks. It's already up over 150%. You missed a lot of tennies already. And at this point, it's kind of FOMO if you were to go long here. That being said, there is still more upside potential. If this keeps running to the upside, this can go back up to 835. That's the next top of the cup here. And from the current price, 565 up to 835, that is about a 35% upside. So I would say going long here would be a high risk, high reward play. Too risky for my liking. I would not do that, but it can pay off. So I can support going long at 565. Just please do that at your own risk. and please hit the sell button eventually. Like I said, the squeeze will have to come to an end eventually, so get in, get your money, get out. Don't get stuck holding the bag. Now, if you're in it for the longer term and you believe in this stock and it's not just a quick scalp, then I think the better play would be to hold off and wait until this comes back down to 390 where the gap is. That should fill eventually, and I think 390 would be a pretty good entry. So if you're in it for the long term, I don't like the entry of 565. I would support going along at 390 and lower. And if it pulls back below 390, then you can just average down at these supports that I mentioned before. And also, if this did top out at 680, based on the cup and handle, this should pull back down to at least 445 to form the handle, because that is halfway between the high of 680 and the low of 210. So I do think this is due for a pullback, and this will come back down around the 445 to 390 range. Now, if you want to go short, not financial advice, seems like a pretty decent play. Maybe not yet, because it still appears like the short squeeze is still on. But sooner or later, eventually, this will have to come back down, as with all short squeezes. Again, I do think this will pull back down to at least 445 to form the handle, probably 390 to fill the gap, maybe even lower. So from this current price, 565 down to 390 where the gap is, that is around a 30% downside. So pretty good money to be made here on the downside. But again, this still appears to be short squeezing, so there is still upside risk. So I would say going short here would be a medium risk, high reward play. I say medium risk because there is still more upside potential, but it really shouldn't go too much higher. Again, this has been squeezing for a couple of weeks. A lot of bearish indicators in the short term, can't go on forever. So as long as you're able to withstand some upside pressure here, you should be able to make 30% on the downside. So I can't support going short at 565 and higher, and I would say cover at 390 where the gap is. So yeah, pretty straightforward, guys. Long term, looks like a good stock to buy and hold. In the short term, this is still in the middle of a squeeze, still has more upside potential, but I don't think it's going to go too much higher. It's been running for a while here, has to come down at some point. Getting a lot of bearish indicators at the moment. So if you want to quick scalp this on the long side, please do that at your own risk. If you want to hold this for the long term, I would hold off, wait until 390 where the gap is. And if you want to go short, pretty decent play. A lot of money to be made on the downside, but still upside risk. So be careful, guys. Please short this at your own risk as well. So congratulations to everyone who made money in the stock today. Consider taking profits if you're up, not financial advice. And good luck to everyone currently in the stock and to everyone looking to take a position. This is ATER Aterian. So here is VERU, VERU. This finishes at $14.30 today. That is up 42.86%. So here's another stock that we've been talking about the past few days. Definitely short squeezing right now. Another stock that looked like the squeeze was coming to an end, but nope. Major price action today. It's definitely still squeezing. And I suspect that two major hedge funds are behind this squeeze, because we did have some news yesterday that H.C. Wainwright and Oppenheimer upgraded their price targets on this stock. And this is just speculation, but I've traded a bunch of stocks where those two companies were involved, and they tend to do some pretty shady stuff. They tend to manipulate the stocks a lot, and they love their biotech. So just speculation, I have a feeling that H.C. Wainwright and Oppenheimer are playing some pretty big roles in squeezing this stock right now. But other than that, really no company-specific news to justify this price action today. Just seems like Oppenheimer and H.C. Wainwright really like this stock. The apes still buying it up and squeezing it.
We like the stock.
So let's go ahead and analyze here. So first of all, this appears to be a cup and handle. Bottom of the cup being the low of 435. And there can be multiple possible tops. It can be 1455, which it hit today. And if it is 1455, that would be a bearish indicator, because that would mean the cup already topped out and is due for a pullback to form the handle. But it can also be above 1455, and that would be a bullish indicator if it is, because that would mean the cup is not completed yet. So it can also be 1575, 1710, 2165, or the high of 2455. And in the aftermarket here, this is running to almost 17. So the cup and handle can be bullish or bearish depending on where the top is, but it does appear like for the moment that the cup and handle is bullish in the short and long terms. This also looks like a possible bull flag in the making. No confirmation just yet, but here we have a flag pole forming. So all we need is some pullback for the flag to form, and that would be a bullish indicator, because that would suggest that the stock may want to break out to the upside even more than it is right now. And in the aftermarket here, this is running up to 1665, so that is a bullish indicator for tomorrow. That is suggesting that tomorrow the stock will run to the upside as well. And we do have this gap up at 455, so that is a bearish indicator. That is telling us that the stock may come back down to 455 to fill this gap. Looks pretty unlikely at this point, but it is possible, so be aware of that, guys. And if this aftermarket action holds, it's going to create another gap up tomorrow at 1455. So that would be another bearish indicator that is suggesting that the stock will come back down to 1455 to fill that gap. And that one is a lot more realistic than 455. And if you guys want to follow along, the link to the chart is in the description down below. So right now this is trading between the sideways channel, the rectangle of 1455 and 1410. So if this goes to the upside, next levels of resistance would be 1455, 1575, 1710, 2080, 2165, and then the high of 2455. And if this goes to the downside, next levels of support would be 1410, 1370, 1325, 1230, 1130, 1045, 995, 970, 945, 920, $9, 885, 870, 845, 825, 810, and then 795. There is support below 795, but we're not going to discuss that right now. So right now at this current price, 1430, the channels to the upside and the downside are very wide, so expect significant price action either way this goes. However, if/when this breaks 995 to the downside, the channel starts to narrow, so expect a significant decrease in price action if/when this breaks 995. RSI is currently at 78, so that is overbought and overvalued, so be careful, guys. And this did 184 million in volume today. Very significant volume, way above the average of 4 million. Second biggest volume day of the year. So this pump/squeeze today was confirmed by the volume, and it does appear like this is still short squeezing. Okay, guys, just my opinion, not financial advice. So this is an incredible run, over 300% already, and looks like it's still going. In the long term, this does look bullish. Has the potential to go back up to 2455 to complete the cup there. And in the immediate short term, this looks bullish as well. Got some pretty strong bullish indicators in the cup and handle and aftermarket action. But sooner or later, this will have to pull back pretty hard, as with every short squeeze, and we are getting some pretty bearish indicators in the double gap up, cup and handle, and high RSI. So therefore, if you want to go long, not financial advice. Personally, I would not do that. I think it's a bit too late to go long here. Again, went up over 300%. Almost 400% now in the aftermarket. So I think you missed your chance. There is still upside potential, but going long here would be kind of FOMO. You'd be buying in at a relative high, and we are getting some pretty strong bearish indicators. So I would say going long here would be a high risk, high reward play. This does have the potential to go back up to 1710, 2165, or even the high of 2455. So still a lot of upside potential, but there's a lot of downside potential as well. Like I said earlier, very wide channels to the upside and the downside. So either way it goes, it's going to be very volatile. Extreme price action. So high risk, high reward play going long here. So if you want to go long, please do that at your own risk. And eventually, please hit the sell button, because this will have to pull back. At some point, someone's going to get caught holding the bag. Make sure it's not you. If you want to quick scalp this, get in, get your money, get out. Now, if you like this stock long term and you're planning to diamond hands and hold, then I think the better play would be to hold off for right now. I'm not sure how high this is going to go, but based on the current top of 455, this should pull back to around 945, because it's halfway between the top of the cup, 1455, and the bottom, 435. And based on the channels here, again, the channel starts to narrow around the 995 range. So I think a good time to go long would be anywhere below 995. And this may never happen, but there is the gap up at 455. This may come back down there. It may not, but it is possible, and I do think that would be an extremely excellent entry. Now, if you want to go short, not financial advice, that seems like a pretty good play. Not yet, but coming up. Again, we are getting some pretty bearish indicators in the double gap up, high RSI, and high volume. This is definitely still short squeezing. So at some point, this will have to come crashing down. So there is a lot of money to be made here on the downside. That being said, it's still squeezing, so I wouldn't go short just yet, but very soon. Maybe give it a couple of days before you decide to do that. So based on the information we have here at the moment, I do believe this will pull back down to 945 to form the handle, to the 435 range to fill the gap. Very wide range, but this is due for a major pullback. Even from this current price, 1430, down to 945, where I believe it'll pull back to form the handle, that's about a 35% downside. So a lot of money to be made here on the downside, a lot of downside potential. My only concern is that, like I said, it seems like these two hedge funds, Oppenheimer and H.C. Wainwright, are heavily manipulating the stock right now. So if they want, they can keep it up. That's my only concern going short here. Based on my personal experience, it's not really a great idea to bet against those two companies. They just have way more resources than the apes, and they can manipulate the stock however they want. So if you want to go short, I can support it. Not yet, but coming up here within the next few days. I'm not sure how high it's going to go, but I do think some good entries to go short would be 1575, 1710, 2165, and 2455. I'm not sure how low it's going to go, but this is due for a major pullback, and I think some good prices to cover would be anywhere from the 945 to the 435 range. Again, because that is where the handle should form, 945, and where the gap should fill, 435. And actually, 995 wouldn't be a bad place to exit either, because that's where the channel starts to narrow and the price action should slow down. So really, I would support covering anywhere from 9.95 and lower. So yeah, guys, long term looks like a good stock to buy and hold. In the short term, there's still more upside potential, but eventually this will have to pull back. So if you want to go long, please do that at your own risk. If you're in it for the long term, I would hold off for right now and try to get this back at the $10 range and lower. And if you want to go short, looks like an excellent play coming up, just not yet, because there is still more upside potential. But I do think a good time to cover going short would be $10 and lower. And that should be some pretty fat Cindy's from wherever you decide to enter at. So congratulations to everyone who made money in the stock today. Consider taking profits if you're up, not financial advice. And good luck to everyone currently in the stock and to everyone looking to take a position. This is VERU VERU. Thanks everyone for watching today. I appreciate you guys. Please like the video. Please subscribe and catch me every weekday after market close on the Smarter Gambling Show. You apes already know. Diamond hands to the moon. I'm Ty. This is Smarter Gambling. See you guys tomorrow. Peace out.